edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party. John Frundi is barred from visiting Sonara after the fire incident that ravaged some sections of that oil refinery company in Limbe, southwest region of the country. The chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF was unable to visit the site today. He was barred by military officers from entering the company. And also in this newscast, we shall talk about the 23-man squad that will be representing Cameroon in the upcoming 2019 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the news on Equinox Television. We begin with news from the OPEC city of Limbe in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon after the fire incident that ravaged sections of the national oil refinery Sonara. The chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party went visiting today, but he was barred from entering the company, as our Limbe-based correspondent Davison Maimo reports.
9:45 a.m. Abnormal total traffic congestion with a queue of vehicles for over 200 meters along the Sonora stretch of road around a locality called Ngeme, where the Limbe Omispo Stadium is situated. The SDF chairman, John Frundi convoy, is blocked by uniformed officers on his way to the National Oil Refinery Sonora to sympathize with the workers following the fire incident on the 29th of May 2019. On the scene is the divisional officer of Limbe 2 subdivision explaining to the SDF chairman why he cannot make it to Sonora.
Now that they have put in place the technical committee in charge of inquiry and investigation, they need to work in confidentiality, and entrance to Sonora has been restricted. This is what I said. You do not need any paper. If journalists are taking a picture, they have taken. It is simple.
The chairman is furious and questions why he should be blocked from going to Sonora.
What is your government's quarrel with me? What have I done?
It's not a quarrel. It's a
quarrel.
Measure.
Security measure that I'm a security risk in Cameroon. Am I a security risk in this country?
Have a safe journey.
You cannot abandon your father, you escort him to the car.
Very bitter about the situation, the chairman leave a message to the administrator and the forces of law and order at the scene.
Here you send the police to block me because you want me to start fighting with this young man. I will not do it. But let it be on record that you people block me from going to Sonora. And when you start hiding people from seeing certain things, it means that you know what is happening.
The SDF chairman convoy made a U-turn to the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC head office at Bota, where at least he was received, though outside. As he was told, the general manager is not on seat. The chairman is consoled by the paramount chief-elect of Limbe after what has transpired, where he is given a warm reception at the palace by the royal family.
Well, I want to thank Your Royal Highness and the people of Victoria for honoring me this morning on a short, unannounced trip. I don't know how much I appreciate this because I've never been on it. And when I got into town, they only told me here that we have to call on you. I said, no, your father was a close friend of mine, a good friend of mine.
It should be noted that John Frundi first stop in Limbe was at the SDO's office, where he said he was equally poorly received and treated.
And I think for some reason, I would not want to say abscond, but he was not in office. And his assistant talked with such a frown on his face, as if he smelled the excreta of a madman. And told us off, refused. Administration treated me roughly and shabbishly.
Taking images by journalists at the SDO's office was a huge task, as cameras of journalists were all seized, though later handed to them after the intervention of the SDF chairman, John Funti, by security forces at the SDO's office, who said they were acting on instructions. The SDF chairman, John Funti Convoys, leaves Limbe for Kumba, where he is to continue with his mission in having first-hand information on the present situation on the ground.
National Chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party on a fact-finding mission, notably as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned, and as the crisis has continued deepening for close to 3 years today, men, women, and children have continued to suffer as a result of the violent extremism that has taken over the two regions. And it is within this context that the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, alongside the International Civil Society Action Network, EQUINOXE, have launched the Invisible Women Report. And that report talks about the invisible actions of women who are fighting against violent extremism that has caused a lot of suffering to several persons in Cameroon and across the African continent. That report was launched yesterday, and I said earlier it is compiled by the United Nations Development Program and the International Civil Society Action Network, EQUINOXE, in collaboration with the Commonwealth, and the objective is also to step up the fight against violent extremism. Now take a listen to one of the officials of the United Nations Development Program, Julie Mbala. She's a gender expert with UNDP Cameroon.
Women are impacted differently from violence extremism. When you analyze the phenomenon, you find out that when there is maybe a bomb blast somewhere, women are the first to move. The great numbers of IDPs are women, and also they are vulnerable to violence as extremism. In Cameroon, we noticed that the biggest part of suicide bombers were women. So we are studying what are the incentives, what are the drivers of that situation to capture the root causes of women being actors of violence extremism and being victims, so that we can properly plan and shape programs which into consideration the role of women in violence extremism. Women who come back sometimes they are discriminated, but they also have to start their life again. We must know that I mean, majority of them, when they go there, they are forced. Sometimes they are forced to go there. Sometimes they join extremists, and also sometimes they just get themselves into violent extremism because of circumstances. Because we know some women who came back because they went there with their husbands, because they went there with their boyfriends, and so.
5 suspected thieves who had been terrorizing the population of Buda in the west region of Cameroon have been arrested. They were arrested in Kwabang, in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, by gendarme officers. Asman Jikan Gebre has more.
Furious population of Mbuda in the west region. They have been victims of several attacks from this gang of 5 who have been terrorizing them. Thanks to the investigation carried out by the commander of the Mbuda Gendarmerie Brigade, Adjutant Chef Lachele Sebastien, the gang was picked up in Kwabang Quarter at the Omnisport neighborhood in Yaoundé. led by this 23-years-old Mbalambaga Lionel, who is the youngest in the gang. His members, Muma Bruce, 29, Munke Breeze, 29, Nkwa Alphonse Patrick, 29, and the eldest, Eyala Pierre, with 39-year-old, are specialized in stealing from snack bars and churches. After their terror in Buda West region, they ran to their hideout in Kwabang, Yaoundé, where security forces picked them up.
The population of Somalomo, a locality in the east region of the Republic of Cameroon, are begging for good roads. They say they have been abandoned in difficult living conditions. And we have details in this report compiled by Firmin Iluga.
This is how tedious plying the roads along the Somalomo locality found in the east region of Cameroon is. Due to poor roads, the area is presumed completely cut out of the rest of the country. During the dry season, road users are faced with the dusty stretches, and at the rainy season, it becomes another nightmare. This teacher, for instance, narrates how difficult the situation looks like on the stretch of road.
Parfois des motos et il arrive que la pluie tombe et que le déplacement soit un peu très difficile et dangereux avec des motos.
To be able to carry on with daily activities, the road users and occupants of the Somalomo locality have taken on secondary maintenance work. The dwellers all hope for quick solutions from the government, whom they consider as just survivors, in transforming the equatorial forest they find themselves in into a developing area.
Administrative bottlenecks, difficult access to finances have been identified as the major causes of the problems that are plaguing youth entrepreneurship in the Republic of Cameroon, and these concerns were tabled in a seminar organized by the Cameroon Youth Movement Association. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Despite efforts and measures put in place by the government of Cameroon to encourage youth entrepreneurship, youth still complain of several obstacles in their quest to become entrepreneurs.
The major challenge is access to funds. They don't have access to funds. Now, the issue is you need an underlying activity, something that you can use to generate income that will support you as a base. Because if you start up as an entrepreneur with no backup, what do you feed from? How do you survive? Because you cannot say you become a successful entrepreneur if you don't have food on your table, if you cannot pay your rent. If you're married, your kids have to go to school and stuff. So those are realities that every young Cameroonian who wants to become a successful entrepreneur has to attend to.
Economic condition in the country, economic is not stable, so I had so many difficulties to bring up a plan of a business because I needed to surround my business with effective and quality services that guide up or drive off customers to increase.
Beside the financial and difficult business climate in Cameroon are administrative bottlenecks.
Difficulties in terms of along the administration level. It's a lot of bottlenecks as far as administration is concerned. We have problems with tax declarations all the time because most of the youths are ignorant about that. So there are certain ways we lose money because we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the know-how to follow about certain processes.
These problems, youth empowerment actors say, have contributed to the high rates of unemployment across Cameroon.
Resolving unemployment in Cameroon will not be a matter of academics, because I believe very strongly that we have enough training centers, but one thing is lacking. There is no link between academics and the professional world, what the learner need to become. Who are you is different from which certificate you have. What can you do is a question we ask at the level of the Cameroon Youth Movement.
Even with the presence of the organization of such seminars by concerned actors, youth continue to raise the problem of finances, which experts say has more to do with discrimination and favoritism in Cameroon.
In fact, that has been a problem. Every question asked, every seminar, how do youths get financing for their projects? When such finances are made, like you said, with achievement within the National Employment Fund, a lot of this thing has become an issue of segregation, self-centeredness, and tribalistic tendencies that if you're not from the south, if you're not in the center, you don't benefit from these loans.
Bringing youth together in Douala, the Cameroon Youth Movement Association assisted youth in tackling some of the key factors that hinder their initiation into the entrepreneurial world.
In terms of administration, registering a business in Cameroon has been made very easy by the government, and I don't want to say that it is the most important. The most important aspect is the enabling environment. We need an enabling environment to encourage young Cameroonians not only to get into business but to succeed.
Organizers reiterated that what Cameroon needs is the development of the concept of made in Cameroon, especially among youth, not youth who are pushed to focus on politics.
For me, Armstrong Sanda reporting there, several children in different parts of Cameroon, especially in remote areas, do not have birth certificates, and public authorities attribute this to ignorance or negligence on the part of parents, and they are now taking measures to ensure that all children born in Cameroon have their birth certificates, and it is within this framework that some 218 birth certificates have been distributed to children in Betwa in the east region of the country. Immaculate Fogwe reports.
According to the Civil Registration Office, BUNEC, 43,000 final year elementary children in some parts of the final region and an overall 400,000 primary school children in the region are without birth certificates. The east region of Cameroon is, however, not exempted from the phenomenon. It is in this regard that the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development, in collaboration with the Better One Council, distributed 218 birth certificates to the local population. Recently, the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development gave instructions to all the mayors in Cameroon to put everything in place so that every Cameroonian who does not have a birth certificate can be in possession of one. Last month, we visited the Manjo Council where we distributed 40 birth certificates. Today, we are in the Better One Council where we are distributing 218 birth certificates to the population. The authorities say such a move is aimed at barring the use of fake birth certificates, popularly known as Kumba made. One of the beneficiaries expresses her satisfaction. I am very happy with the initiative carried out by the council. Though the processing lasted for long, I am happy it finally arrived. The Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development, alongside non-governmental organizations, are expected to continue with the distribution process in other regions in a bid to curb the problem of statelessness in Cameroon.
Coming up, sportsman Smanjikan Gebre has the details on the latest news concerning the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, who are preparing ahead of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations built for Egypt.
The Aspata Hospital, approved by FIFA, was the venue where players of the national football team had their medical tests before their training session of the day.
Hello, I'm Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, player of the national team of Cameroon, and we are here in Doha in the Aspata Hospital, and we are doing some medical tests for the African Nations Cup, and everything is doing well so far, and we have very good conditions here.
According to the national team doctor, Professor William Gacho, the medical test was very vital for the players before they continue their training session to know those who are fit before the tournament starts. Before their lone training session, the technical staff and players called on the Almighty to take them through the training exercise of the day. The training, dubbed B2B players and coaches, was one for the players to play amongst themselves, but the technical staff was concerned with the pass accuracy and also the concentration on the players. The national football team is expected in the country on June 17 to bid farewell to its home fans before traveling to Egypt, where they are expected to defend the title they won in 2017.
Talking Point is up next. Thanks for joining us in Talking Points. We are receiving a human rights officer from the United Nations High Commission, or rather the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa of the United Nations. Firmin, SINDAYE, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and we're going to be talking about discriminatory propaganda and incitement to hate speech. You're training some journalists here in the economic capital, Douala. You started 2 days ago with journalists of the print media and online media organs, and today and tomorrow you are training journalists from the audiovisual media organs in Cameroon on these issues of discriminatory propaganda and hate speech. Why now?
Yeah, we didn't start for right now because we started in January of this year. Now, this training focuses, of course, to media professionals for some reasons. First of all, it has to do with our mandate. The mandate of our organization is to help our partners, media included, capacity building in respective fields. And from the past elections, we noted that there was some kind of hate and discriminatory speeches which were developed after the elections, and now it's our initiative to see how we can encounter such a kind of speeches, hatred, and discriminatory speeches, so that journalists will be trained to know that it is not respectful to human rights first, and to avoid that such kind of behavior, attitude happens again.
All right, you're talking about the presidential election. You made some observations as far as the work of journalists is concerned, hate speech in the media, and so on. Now, there are other elections that are coming up, the municipal, the legislative, and the regional elections. Are you bringing in this training now in perspective, or in order to prevent such things from occurring in the upcoming elections?
Now, I think it is a general mandate. We should do this either in Cameroon and somewhere else, because we cover 10 countries. But we think it is better to prevent, so as journalists be prepared first, that it is not good to develop hatred speeches, especially when the elections come in any country. There are many things, there are misinformation, hate speech, there are some tensions. So that we wanted to contribute to our capacities, so that such a kind of hatred and discriminatory speeches don't happen again.
And these are some of the issues that have equally contributed in pouring the fuel in the fire as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned.
We noted, of course, that there were some tendencies, even some actions, which were manifested after the elections. Why can we stay there and not act so as to avoid such kind of behavior? But as I said, it is not the concern of only Cameroon. It is a world program. We should develop it in other countries. As you know, in many countries which are covered by our mandate, I mean the Central Africa region, there are always some behavior that are likely to impact on the security of people and on the safety of the people.
So what are you telling the journalists concerning discriminatory propaganda and hate speech? What are they expected to do?
Journalists first, they have to know two things. The first thing is that their profession is protected by international human rights. But even if their profession is protected by, of course, with the national laws. There are some limitations, both at the international level and at the local level, at the national level. So we wanted to alert them on some provisions which prohibits such a kind of behavior, so that journalists know before that such kind of hatred and discriminatory speeches are forbidden both by international and national laws. So we want them to abide by the law and respect the international human rights law.
Now, in very practical terms, if a journalist is leading a debate, for example, and there are people on the panel who are using hate speech, people who are using discriminatory propaganda, what is that journalist expected to do?
The journalist has the responsibility to remind them that this is not kind of discourses that has been developed in your media. That's one of the things. That's maybe he can take the responsibilities, the responsibility of the journalist himself and the responsibility of the media to say this kind of speeches is prohibited. This is one. The second is that the journalist himself may be involved in hatred and discriminatory speeches. Then this becomes very dangerous, as you know that many media have a wide range of followers. So the responsibility is at the three levels. The level of your invitees itself, the level of the journalist himself, that he has to be aware of that, and the responsibility of the owner or the managers of media.
Yeah. All right. And today, while you were making a presentation in the course of that seminar, you highlighted the example of Radio de Mille Collines.
Yeah, we talked about
in the Rwandan genocide.
Yeah, we talked about, we mentioned them in our preliminary speech, to talk about the radio that Radio de Mille Collines has been involved and played a great role in the genocide in Rwanda, because it was it had a wide audience, and it is that one who was teaching people on how to put in practice the genocide plan itself.
And that's to show just how the impact of the media, what the media can do, either make or mar the situation.
The media shall be used to consolidate peace, to make sure that the country is safe and the population itself is safe, rather than contributing to hatred and discriminatory speeches. To mean that the media has a very important responsibility for peace, for peace consolidation, democracy, and the respect of human rights. If it goes behind this and encourages hatred and the discriminatory speech, it can lead to, I don't have any good terminal to say it, to what happened in Rwanda, for instance, like wide range killings, or which can go up to even the genocide happened in Rwanda.
All right, Firmin SINDAYE, you are a human rights officer from the United Nations Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Central Africa. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.